My name is Joe Fenn, and I am running for a seat on the Select Board. One of the reasons for running for the Select Board is because I am concerned about the rapid growth of our town and the impact on our municipal services, to include our public schools, police and fire departments, water, sewer, and roadway infrastructure, and motor vehicle traffic. In an early 2018 master plan report, which can be found online, in that report it notes that North Andover, based on 2015 housing data, had a healthy inventory of multifamily units. Also, in that same report, North Andover residents expressed concern over limited school capacity, increased traffic congestion with more housing density, potential loss of natural resources and open spaces, and increased traffic flowing along neighborhood streets. So what happened? According to the 2018 report, it states there are about 996 multifamily units which are either planned, permitted, under construction, recently completed, or envisioned. This does not take into consideration the 170 units approved off of High Street and the 1,391 units being proposed under the Royal Crest redevelopment project. In total, this is almost 2,000 more units after we were told we had a, quotes, healthy inventory of multifamily units, end quote, and despite our voiced concerns. What am I proposing? I plan to file a warrant article to be included in the upcoming annual town meeting proposing a 2-year moratorium on multifamily units, and for the town to conduct a comprehensive study to determine the impact of this recent increase in the construction of multifamily dwellings on our town. Other issues I think are important to the town: providing affordable housing options to our seniors, bringing more business to North Andover, protecting, expanding open space, natural resources, and recreational facilities. In terms of my work experience, I have executive level experience in budgeting, human resources, procurement, labor relations, and policy making over an approximate 30-year public servant career. I served as the Executive Area Special Agent in charge for the Northeast Area Field Office, Office of Inspector General, U.S. Postal Service. And as part of my duties, I worked with some of the highest ranking officials in the Department of Justice, federal law enforcement, Postal Service, and external stakeholders, and served on numerous boards and committees. Prior to that, I served in numerous leadership positions in Postal Service operations, to include postmaster, tour superintendent, area manager, customer service manager, and labor relations representative. Also served as a chairperson on numerous committees. I believe this experience can help me come up with creative solutions to the issues and challenges facing our town while working with other members of the Select Board, town officials, and committees. In my personal life, my wife Nancy Oakes and I raised 3 sons in North Andover, all 3 to graduate from North Andover High School, just as my wife had. My wife grew up in North Andover. I've been involved in the community most of my 21 years in North Andover, coaching baseball and basketball for 15 consecutive years. I love North Andover. I'm committed to our town and our schools, and I clearly understand how important community is for our families. If you share some of my concerns, I hope you will consider voting for me, and I'd be honored to have your vote on March 30th. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Janice Phillips, a candidate for Select Board. I have spent my entire life working for and serving others. When there is a need, an opportunity to contribute, I jump all in. With the privilege of being elected comes the opportunity to elevate my involvement in our community and get to work on behalf of all residents. Whether it is coordinating the Farmers Market Veterans Food Security Program, supporting our schools, managing the Front Steps Project, a community effort raising over $20,000 for local organizations, serving on the board of the North Andover Merchants Association, or managing the Neighbors in Need diaper and formula program, my commitment getting to work for our town provides a deep perspective into the pulse of our community. I welcome this opportunity to spend a few minutes sharing how my experience as a doula a professional labor coach, prepares me to get to work for you, building an inclusive community through open communication and thoughtful collaboration, and to focus on 3 key issues we face as a community that I look forward to getting to work to address. Continued recovery for individuals and small businesses from the damaging impacts of the Columbia gas disaster and the COVID crisis, school funding, and smart growth for our town. My family was severely impacted by the Columbia gas explosions, living at home for the first 4 weeks and staying in a hotel in Danvers for the next 5 weeks. There is no better example of a time when the need for clear communication was critical, and no better example of a major failing on the part of Columbia Gas. Our town's leaders stepped up to the plate. Volunteers like me and some of you went door to door. We needed to be certain that everyone was safe, what their needs were, and be clear on what their next steps were. I have spent over a decade focused on clear communication to build trusting relationships with clients and facilitating effective communication with the medical team. Even today, there are scars and unresolved Columbia Gas issues. Being persistent with its successor, Eversource, remains critical. I will not let this fall by the wayside, even though it's no longer in the headlines. As a member of the board of the North Andover Merchants Association, I see firsthand the challenges our businesses face. Collaborating with businesses and doing the work to understand how to drive their successful recovery is critical toward moving forward. These are skills I developed working with hundreds of clients and care teams to ensure their physical, informational, and emotional needs are met. I welcome the opportunity to collaborate with our small businesses and be a voice for them on the select board. One key step for business recovery is vaccinating all residents who wish to be vaccinated so we can safely get people back in the doors of our businesses. I will do the work necessary to support widespread, easy access to vaccines for our residents. If that means scheduling appointments, providing transportation, or planning the logistics of a clinic, I will get to work. Our schools are at the forefront. This year has been incredibly challenging for our students, teachers, administrators, and families, including my own. Strong schools benefit our entire community. Our district faces challenging decisions, especially regarding space limitations. Using skills I have built throughout my career, I will forge collaboration and open communication with the school committee and do the work to ensure no stone is left unturned in developing a plan. Making sure all residents have information to make informed decisions is critical, and I will do the necessary work, including planning and promoting public forums and neighborhood meetings to make information easily accessible to all. North Andover will always have exciting opportunities for growth and change, not all of them beneficial to our town. I will work to make sure every plan goes through a thorough, transparent vetting process, bringing all voices to the table. Much like the Amazon project, I want to bring only smart growth projects to our community that benefit our residents, including our schools. Due diligence on every development proposal is critical. In the same way I educate my clients about their choices for their health, I will communicate openly, making sure residents have all the information to make informed decisions. Our town government relies on the active and knowledgeable engagement of our residents. When we forge strong community bonds through open communication, thoughtful collaboration, and engagement, there is more common understanding, compassion, energy, and investment. This leads to a more unified vision and community commitment as North Andover moves forward. When we get to work hard, and work together, we are unstoppable. Thank you.
Hi, North Andover. I'm Dick Valancourt, and I've been proud to serve North Andover for these past 9 years as a member of our town select board. I believe over those 9 years, I have gained the experience and demonstrated the drive, commitment, and leadership to continue to move North Andover forward. So I'm asking for your vote on Tuesday, March 30th, as I seek re-election to the select board. From a childhood working the counter at my parents' Main Street diner, I learned early on that it's because of the hard work of volunteers that our town is able to operate. It was that understanding that building a strong community takes work that I strive to give back, from being a member of our town zoning board, the treasurer of the Booster Club, and president of the North Andover Merchants Association. I've tried to do my part to make North Andover a town we can all be proud to call home. It was that commitment to our community that first drove me to run for the Select Board, and it has been my goal to use this role to represent all views as we work to keep North Andover moving in the right direction. We've done this through building consensus budgets that respect our taxpayers while delivering on necessary services. We've been deliberate about how we tax, achieving a AAA bond rating while building budgets that year after year are widely recognized for their transparency. This responsible budgeting has meant that we've been able to renovate our town hall and DPW buildings while building a new fire station, school administration building, and kindergarten, all while avoiding the burden of tax overrides. We've qualified for hundreds of thousands of dollars in green grant money, adding electric vehicles to our fleet, and expanding our sustainability committee, adding textile recycling services, and being recognized as a Massachusetts green community. North Andover, however, has not skipped past our challenges. When Columbia Gas literally blew up our neighborhoods, our town hall was relentless in engaging residents, from texts to phone calls to emails to organizing volunteers, going door to door, ensuring that impacted neighbors received the information they needed. I personally spent the first 3 days in the shelter at the high school, assisting neighbors in need. It was there that I witnessed the true generosity of residents of North Andover as people brought food, coffee, and personal care items to those in need. Recovery has been long and will continue as we pave those scars left behind by Columbia Gas. Our response to this crisis was yet another example of North Andover not shying away from tackling our challenges head-on. Columbia may have been our biggest challenge, but not our only. Like many families in town, my family has not been untouched by the scourge of opioid addiction and misuse. As a town, we recognize that too many people were fighting these battles alone, with a gap in support that was unreasonably being placed on law enforcement. We worked together to bring our community support coordinator to provide the type of mental health services and guidance that allow families, including those impacted by addiction, to navigate a confusing and intimidating bureaucracy. Challenges don't come one at a time, and as the COVID-19 pandemic has shown, we are often required to take on many challenges at once, all of which directly impact our local families, schools, and businesses. Coming out of the Columbia Gas disaster, we had to repair infrastructure, repair homes, and rebuild trust in our utility service providers. Coming out of COVID, we have to rebuild everything. I have 4 priorities as we come out of COVID. Number 1, get the vaccine to slow the spread of the virus. We will do this by assisting the scheduling of appointments, providing transportation to vaccination sites, and administering vaccines. Number 2, get teachers and school staff vaccinated and get students back to school full-time. Number 3, get help to people economically with programs such as the town's Rental and Mortgage Assistance Program, which is administered through the town's Affordable Housing Trust. Number 4, get help to local businesses with grants to get them back up and running. Through grants and other means available to us, the town has already offered 2 waves of grants totaling $132,000. The first going out to personal care, therapy, pet care services, studios, and gyms. At my urging, the second round of grants included automotive and retail shops. My wife Kathy and I chose to raise our 3 children in North Andover. My family was very active in school and town activities. I'm now very happy that my children are making the same decision to raise their families in North Andover and also become active in volunteering to make North Andover a great place to live, learn, work, and play. I feel the last 9 years I have served North Andover with dignity, respect, and honor. It has been the privilege of my life, and I hope you will allow me to continue to serve the community that we all love so dearly. So again, I'm asking to cast one of your votes for Select Board for me, Dick Valancourt. Thank you for your consideration. Have a great day.
Hi everyone, my name is Dave Brown, and I'm a candidate for school committee here in North Andover. It's certainly a critical juncture in the history of the North Andover Public Schools. We need to address the needs our growing community has to both address the learning gaps created by the pandemic, as well as address the systemic issues that have faced our district for the last several years. For those that don't know me, I moved to town in early 2000 with my wife Jamie, my son Josh, who was then 5 and about to enter elementary school, our daughter Kira, then 3, and our daughter Talia was born here in 2001. We chose North Andover in large part because of the quality and reputation of the public schools, something that I'm a huge believer in. I feel that a public elementary and secondary education is hands down best preparation for life in the real world. It's also a critical element in the success of a community. I believed it then and even more so now. All 3 kids went through the system here, K through 12, and they were very successful in that system. They all made their way to very competitive colleges, Tufts, University of Southern California, and Northwestern, where Talia is a sophomore. I realized we were fortunate to have strong students in our family, and that the school committee and administration have to pay attention to all the students and all their needs. I want to give back to the community, to continue to give my energy and talent to the schools, even though my children are grown up. And I hope to demonstrate to you that I bring all the qualities we need in a school committee person, and that I can earn one of your votes on March 30th. I've been very active in volunteer work here in town for more than 2 decades, with most of that energy devoted to serving our children. I serve as chair of the trustees of Osgood Hill. I'm a member of the Fields Committee and have been for many years. I'm VP of the North Andover Booster Club now, and previously VP of the Little League. I've been an active leader in those organizations and a coach for many years, helping probably thousands of children now learn basketball and baseball skills, as well as life lessons. And in those leadership roles, I've always emphasized inclusive recreational programs, the ones that reach all players, regardless of their ability. And several of those have recorded video endorsements, which you can see on my website, which is davebrown4naschools.com. I've also volunteered countless hours to help schools over the years, elementary, middle school, high school, helping out by donating sound services, being a reading volunteer, the NAMS field days. I've been a chaperone and worked for many years on the SOS parties and class events. I think it's important for me to make clear now how I'm different from the other candidates. First and foremost, the longer history of volunteerism in the town, and it includes working with children of all ages, 5 through 18. It includes service beyond the years when my own children could benefit, and I'm still doing it. I have many years of management experience as well, and a professional management education. And when you consider what the real role of a school committee member is, this is the strongest background anyone could have. The school committee is responsible for 3 things: hiring and firing the superintendent and supervising, similar to how a board of directors of a corporation deals with a president or director. Number 2, approval of the budget, and 3, setting policy. My professional training and experience is all centered around management, and I've been in senior management of companies large and small. I've served and continue to serve on the board of a local charity, so I've also seen that side of the equation, and I understand the role and how to make it function as well as it can. I understand how to conduct successful negotiations, which is a large part of the responsibility of the committee. I have many years of successful experience doing so, including high-value contracts. I've even successfully negotiated technical standards among fierce competitors, so I understand how to create win-win agreements even when the opposing sides start far apart. Now, the superintendent is responsible for day-to-day operations, and the committee's job is to hold him accountable for that, not to do his job for him. And finally, since my children are all grown, I can be passionate about our schools without any emotion or bias towards a particular school. I've clearly demonstrated my ongoing commitment to the success of our town, and nothing can be more important than the success of our schools. And finally, my message is all about expecting accountability. Should you choose me for this role, I will be accountable to you, the citizens of North Andover. I will hold the superintendent accountable for the school's performance, and it should always be improving. He will in turn hold the staff and ultimately the students accountable. And this is how it should be. So in closing, I want to reiterate my commitment to devote my time, skills, and energy to the role of school committee member. I have the right mix of qualifications and skills to do that, and I will represent all of you and always have the best interests of our children at heart. I hope you will agree and will vote for me on March 30th or sooner by mail or absentee ballot. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joe Hicks, and I'm running to be your representative on the North Andover School Committee. I've enjoyed this campaign so much. The best part is getting to listen to so many people talk about what they want for our schools. What brings us together is so powerful. I'd like to start by talking about why I'm running for the school committee. We must always start with our why. If we don't clearly identify the destination, we cannot effectively plan how to get there, and we'll get lost along the way. Building a better future is my why. Our job is to prepare students to be active participants in a democratic society. Students who are ready to take on challenges and solve problems that we don't know exist, or can even begin to imagine. Students who have the skills, knowledge, agency, and voice to participate in our diverse world with confidence, empathy, with dignity and respect. And most importantly, students who can not only dream of a future for themselves, but are equipped to achieve those dreams. Our community is enduring a long-lasting and traumatic experience, but at some point, this pandemic will end and our kids will go back to school. And when we return to school, I do not want to return to normal. I want to return to something better, more capable of meeting our students' needs. Our return is an opportunity to really dig deep into what is best for our schools and to transform our district. To do that will take careful and diligent planning, and that planning begins with you and the choice that you will make on March 30th. It starts right now. You have the opportunity to shape what comes next for North Andover. So I ask you to think about the future that you want to build for our schools. To build a better future, we need to take a hard look at who we are. We need to carefully examine our student achievement data. We need to shift our curriculum. We need to build strong social and emotional learning supports. We need to provide our teachers with the appropriate resources. We need to engage with our families and consistently listen to their feedback. And we need to relentlessly communicate our goals and our progress back to the community. I absolutely want our students to return to school, and I want that to happen as quickly and as safely as possible for everyone. We need to be open and transparent about what it will take to attain that goal, and then work to mitigate any obstacle as best we can. But I also want to look beyond our immediate needs. Building a better future also means tackling our chronic underfunding and our capacity limits. Our schools are our single largest investment, and we must be careful stewards of our town's resources. We need to work together alongside our other elected officials and develop a long-term strategy for our schools that allow us the flexibility and space to properly educate our young people, now and for years to come. We need to always advocate, support, and properly resource the programming that will allow all of our students to flourish. Rigorous academics, consistent supports, and robust extracurriculars that address the needs of the whole student. I pledge to always be open, transparent, and accessible. I will hold regularly scheduled office hours so that the community knows how and when to talk with me, so that I can always listen. I pledge to always support and fight for funding for our music, art, drama, and athletic programs. I promise to carefully examine our data and ask questions of our leaders about actions being taken to improve student achievement. And I will always advocate for policies that build a stronger, more diverse, equitable, inclusive, and just system for all students. Our students can only learn if they are embraced, safe, and celebrated for who they are. We need to continue to do the hard work of developing an inclusive and welcoming environment for all of our students. We need to develop systems that give students agency and legitimate voice. We need to interrogate our systems and practices and consistently ask the question if what we are doing is best for our students. We can't be limited by who we have been, but always push ourselves to dream about who we want to become, and then make that dream come true. I want schools that will always support our young people and always prepare them for what comes next. I want schools that foster deep learning and that allow each student to belong and to be celebrated. That is the community that I want us to build, and I hope you join me on this journey. Only together can we build a better future. Thank you.
Hello, my name's McDevitt, and I'm a current member of the North Andover School Committee. Since I first ran in 2012, a lot has changed. It's hard to think back and remember my kids being so little. At the time, Rachel wasn't even in school. She's now a 7th grader, John is a freshman, and Matthew a junior. There were days I wasn't sure we'd ever leave Kittredge, but now we're thinking about college. It goes by quickly, as they say. Our schools have really changed since then, too. Administration's moved into a new building. We've seen additional classrooms and a gym at Kittredge. Most schools have new playgrounds. We've returned librarians to our elementary schools to start young minds reading and researching. We moved from half-day kindergarten to free, full day. Prior to 2014, North Andover families paid almost $4,000 for full-day kindergarten. Just over 2 years ago, we saw the opening of the brand new Ann Bradstreet Early Childhood Center. By consolidating kindergarten and early childhood, we are better equipped to help our younger students and get them on the right path earlier. It also opened up 2 to 4 classrooms in every elementary school to help keep class sizes as small as possible. We're not done with addressing space yet. We are currently looking at a space analysis for all of our schools. As part of the facilities master plan, we expect new classroom spaces at the elementary level. There is an increasing space issue at the middle school. Simply, we've exceeded capacity. While we've applied for state building funds for the past few years, we've not been approved. And we're going to need to partner with FinCom and the Select Board to address not only the space issue, but the funding. Any investment in the space at the middle school is going to require community collaboration. Finally, North Andover ranks near the bottom of the state in per pupil spending. To address this gap, difficult conversations are going to need to happen. We need to advocate and partner with the town on a strategy to address the deficit. We all have a vested interest in the education of our children. As a resident, I continue to look for accountability in the budget process. This past year has most certainly been a challenge for all families. Every family has different experiences and a truly unique personal perspective. My job has been and will continue to be, if reelected, to listen to as many perspectives as possible and to use that to make my decision and vote. I've always acted and voted in the best interests of our students. I've asked a lot of questions and really pushed for answers and accountability. This past year, I again worked to negotiate with the teachers union. In fact, I've worked with the union on their last 3 contracts. As a son of a teacher, I believe in the work that they do and the value to our town. In the summer of 2020, we negotiated nearly every night on the safe return to school. You might remember the union and the MTA protesting at a school committee meeting. Dozens of teachers wrote letters protesting not to return to school. In the end, there was trust and partnership, and we successfully opened school. Just as important to the teachers as it is to my family, to your family, our schools are safe with proper spacing, sanitizing protocol, and adherence to the CDC and Board of Health guidelines. As the guidelines are changing, so are we. I've continued to advocate on returning to school this spring. We've advocated for vaccination clinics for teachers and staff and provided approximately 475 vaccination shots on March 13th. Kindergarten to 5th grade will return on April 5th to 5 full days a week. The middle school no later than April 28th. And yes, high school is coming along with graduation. The partnership with the union helps us to ensure school bells continue to ring at our buildings. We need to recognize that there are gaps with our students today. Students must return to classroom 5 full days in 2021 ready to succeed. That doesn't merely mean passing a budget with recovery services. It means getting into the data to ensure where our students need help and making sure our teachers and staff have the right tools to succeed. Now more than ever, we need someone with experience on the school committee, not afraid to ask the tough questions and advocate for our children. I hope you'll allow me to continue to fight and advocate for the best for our town and our community, most importantly, our students. Experience and dedication matter. I humbly ask for your vote on March 30th at the high school or by absentee ballot. Thank you.
I believe in public education. I am an advocate for schools because it is the linchpin of every community, whether or not you have children in our schools. Over the last year, the pandemic has put a spotlight on how dependent our society is on public education. And that spotlight has exacerbated the challenges our system has put off for a long time. It's time we advocate for public education and demand that our school committee leads the administration and community to truly value its importance for all. I love our town. I love living in the heart of Machine Shop Village. I love Friday night at Stachy's with adults at one table and kids at another. My children can walk to school, the library, or up to Cow's Rock. I love the sound of the baseball bats coming from Applin Park on a hot summer night. Our children have thrived here. But there are missing pieces in our schools, and it's time we speak up and advocate for the changes that will bring our schools to the level of sustainable success we all work so hard for. There is an evident gap in communication between our school administration and the community. To have better schools, we need to communicate clearly and regularly, not just to parents, but every stakeholder, every person in our town. As a teacher and a parent of children who have been at each of the school levels, I will help fill that communication gap with the unique perspective of both citizen and educator. I am ready to roll up my sleeves and work with our team and community to develop thoughtful plans that improve our schools, enhance communication, and bring the necessary resources and technology to our classrooms. In times of such uncertainty, lack of communication only emphasizes the stresses of our community members. One solution I propose is to create a system to sort and address public comment within a reasonable time frame. I know the challenges our educators and administration face with the limited resources and funds available to them, and see how they use what they have to make it all work. I know the importance of using data to drive instruction and have seen firsthand how early interventions can help a struggling reader blossom into a confident reader with the collaboration of parents and teachers and administration. That reader is my youngest daughter, and this is just one small example of the excellence our teachers and administration display on a regular basis. One example of why I love these schools and our town and will do my best to be an advocate for all. Our spending per pupil is at the bottom of the state. This is made even more evident from the PTO discussion meetings about how they need to raise funds to supply classrooms with necessary technology or gym floors and buildings. Last year, my older daughter came home to tell me she had watched a video on a little box thing with a tape, which I concluded was a VCR. Our schools in town have taken a back seat, and this simply cannot continue. Space, resources, and technology all fall behind and are the result of insufficient funding. The data is clear. We are at the bottom percentile of spending in the state. We need a plan to increase our spending in a reasonable and systematic way so that we do not fall behind as a school system and as a community. As plans for the future of our schools are crafted, let's help the general community make informed, educated decisions about what is in their own family's best interests, for they are also North Andover's best interests. When did mediocrity become an acceptable expectation of our schools? What example are we setting our children as we prepare them for the future? I have heard too often that our schools are performing just fine with the limited resources available. As a parent, my children are expected to try their best and work their hardest. As a teacher, I set my expectations high and lay out the criteria my students need to reach those goals. We are sending mixed messages to our students when we use the raise the bar, raise a star motto, and yet we haven't raised the bar for our schools in far too long. Our teachers and families have filled in the gaps. We have stretched us all too thin, and it's time to make our schools a priority. On March 30th, I ask for your vote in support of one of 2 seats in the North Andover School Committee. Vote for the candidate who will advocate for all with the same passion that has guided me for the last 20 years as a teacher and as a parent for the last 17 and a half years. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Stronk, and I am running for school committee. As a lifelong North Andover resident, I am excited to have the opportunity to run for such an important position in the community. I feel our children and families deserve to have someone in the school committee who will be their voice. Many may think that because a plan has been set in place for our youngest learners, directly affecting my own children in 3rd and 5th grade, that my main fight to get the children safely back into the classroom is over. That couldn't be farther from the truth. I will first focus on ensuring the plan that was presented gets fully executed, and if there are roadblocks that are presented, that they are dealt with in an effective and timely fashion and clearly communicated. I've gotten many emails from and had dozens of conversations with parents recently regarding their middle and high school age students. These emails and conversations have been very emotional and raw, many of the parents pleading with me to keep pushing for their older children to return to school 5 days each week this academic year. I am happy these parents feel that they can open up to me and express their concerns, and it makes me want to work that much harder for them. After listening to the most recent school committee meeting on March 4th, 2021, it's evident that the pandemic has taken a significant toll on students both academically and socially and emotionally. There is evidence that there is a sizable amount of unfinished learning. My other focus is to work with the school committee and school administration to come up with strategies on how to deal with the unfinished learning at all grade levels and get North Andover back to providing an unparalleled level of academic excellence. It can be done with the right team leading the way, being proactive and not reactive, and being transparent about the specific plans that are being considered. Involving ideas that come from the community will be critical as well. Additional resources and support for the entire student body will require money. I feel that with my nearly quarter century of experience in accounting will make me uniquely qualified to deal with budgets and other fiscal issues that we may run into. My undergraduate major was accounting, and directly out of college, I worked for 3 years at Arthur Andersen, a premier Big Six auditing firm. My responsibilities included reviewing and analyzing many multi-million-dollar companies' financial statements from the outside in. My subsequent experience as an international corporate accountant and corporate accounting manager at Charles River Laboratories, currently a billion-dollar company, allowed me to further gain expertise in understanding financials from the inside out. My professional career has also afforded me the experience to successfully work and collaborate with many departments: information technology, operations, finance, site managers and controllers, and human resources. I feel that will allow me to effectively work with members of not only the school committee, but also school administration, as well as members within the community. I also have an MBA with a concentration in finance from Boston University, which has further reinforced my understanding of higher level financial and economic issues. Having 2 children in elementary school in North Andover, and having come through the public school system myself, I have a long-term vested interest in the success of North Andover Public Schools. We can achieve academic excellence, close the unfinished learning gap, and support all students of all backgrounds, emotionally and socially, if we put the hard work in. I know we can do this together. I hope you will cast your vote for me, Rebecca Stronk, on March 30th at the high school, and help me become a member of the school committee. If you are still unsure about voting in person, please reach out to the town clerk's office to request a mail-in ballot by March 24th. Thank you so much for your time.